What's up, YouTube? It's TF Collector, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Studio Series Voyager class Alpha Trion from Transformers 1. And before we take a look at the figure itself, we will first, of course, take a look at the packaging that he does come in. On the front, we have a picture of Alpha Trion in Robot and Beast mode. Transformers Studio Series, Transformers 1, Alpha Trion, Hasbro. Transforms in 26 steps. On this side of the box, we have a profile image of Alpha Trion. There's his name, Studio Series 1. On this side, you have the rest of that artwork, Autobot logos, Studio Series, Voyager class in a bunch of languages. On the back, a screen grab of Alpha Trion from the movie Transformers 1, Alpha Trion, a little bio there. Alpha Trion, the wisest and most noble of the primes, is awoken by Orion Pax. Some other product images, 26 steps once again, authentic Hasbro. On the bottom, a barcode. On the top, Transformers 1, Alpha Trion, and Takara Tomy. And one final thing before diving into the figure, he does of course include his instruction manual here with Alpha Trion, Studio Series 1, Alpha Trion 8, plus Takara and Hasbro. And now to the figure itself. Here is Alpha Trion as he appeared in Transformers 1, and man, I'm kind of let down by this figure, honestly. But I'll tell you why throughout the review. But coming in on the details here in Beast, Unicorn, Lion Thing mode, you can see up front the head sculpt is done nicely with the little unicorn horn there. And you have some purples and pinks and whatnot. And you have your little blue eye there. Coming back here, you can already see he does have the molding and whatnot that he had in the film with some more purple. A little bit more of that molding there with that metallic purpley pink that they've decided to use. Some pink there on his booty, just coming down the back as I drop him. You can see other molded details and whatnot. These little pokey horns are rubber, so you're not going to poke your eye out with them. Little silver there on the toes and whatnot. You have his big tail there, so you can see he can whip that around. But not a whole lot to say here. That is Alpha Trion as a unicorn, lion, Cybertronian thing. And when it comes to Beast Mode articulation, you can do a little bit. You can open and close his mouth, and as you can see, this tab is not secure at all. You're supposed to have that tabbed up in there, so that should be tabbed, but the mouth does open and close. It does have a hinge right here that is supposed to move up and down in Beast Mode, but as you can see, this tab comes undone all the time, so you have some other hinges that you can use if you want. That's an option, but that tab is supposed to be in there. It's what the instructions say, not me, but you do not have anything here at the shoulder just due to the way that they tab in right under there. But you do have elbow bending and a little bit of paw movement there on the front legs. Now the back legs, you can move there, you can move here, and you can move the toes up and down. When it comes to the tail, you can move it up and down and just do the way it plugs in. You can also move it side to side, and that is your Beast Mode articulation. And when it comes to accessories, he comes with a few, but they are all built into the alt mode here. The tail is an accessory. Each of these 4 pokey parts, I guess, is an accessory, and the horn is also an accessory, which I will show off how to use all of those when we get to the transformation segment. But before we get there, first we have some alt mode comparisons, and here he is with Studio Series Voyager TF1 Sentinel Prime, with Studio Series Elita 1, B-127 or Bumblebee, Megatron, Optimus Prime, and last but not least, a CG image of how he appeared in Transformers 1 in his Beast Mode, so you can see just how close they got this figure. And with all of that said and done, I think that's about all I have to say for Alpha Trion here in alt mode. So let's go ahead and transform him. Now, this does get into a fiddly transformation when we get up there. But first of all, what we're going to do is remove the tail and each of these 5 spikes. And I'm going to do that off camera. And doing that off camera certainly paid off because it almost brought some choice words out of me. But as you can see, here's all your spikes. There's your spikeless Alpha Trion. By far the worst part of the transformation, by the way. But you're going to take your longest spike and plug it into the end here. And then your other spikes just plug throughout this little tail whip staff thing. I don't even know what you would call this. as I drop them all over the place because they are tiny and they are not easy to get a hold of because they are very soft rubber, so they just like to fly all over the place. But when you get all those tabbed in, that's going to be Alpha Trion's weapon in robot mode. And now coming back to the beast himself, we're going to work on his legs first, so go ahead and straighten those out like so. Come down here, pull his toes down until they thoop into place. You want to bring these pieces back just far enough to where they act as a heel spur there, so do the same thing here. Just bring it back far enough to where it will act as a heel spur, then just straighten up the leg. So just straighten it up like so, and then you take these two pieces and they will just swing down on double hinges right into place right there. So do the same thing on the other side, of course. Swing down right into place. Make sure you straighten that the rest of the way out, and I'm going to rise up a little bit. Rise up. There we go. And now we're going to work on the upper body. So the first thing we're going to want to do is untab the arms back here. So basically just pull out so they untab right there. You can kind of see there's a little tab and a little slot there in the arm. Bring those down. Same thing on this side. Untab, bring it down. And we can go ahead and finish up the arm. So hold the the elbow bend right there and rotate that piece that way. And then open this purple section, rotate around here and push that paw in like so. And then bring that purple piece down on top of it. And that is one arm all done. Same thing over here. Hold the elbow joint there, rotate till the purple piece faces outward, open sesame, swing this piece around, push the paw down, and close that piece up. And there are your two arms and your two legs. Little secret, this is take 2 because he kind of made me lose my craft the first time. Fiddling, yay! But let's go ahead and see if we can get this done this time. So the first thing we're going to do is come here and just bring this whole section forward. Then we're going to come here and untab this section and bring this whole section back. Then we're going to come here, untab this section, bring this section back. Then we're going to come to the front here and slightly tuck his head downwards and rotate 180 at that piece. Then we're going to rotate 180 at this piece and have the head like so. Then what we're going to do is we're going to bring this section downward on this double hinge right here and have it sitting like so. You can see how it's kind of at an angle there. Then we're going to bring this head back and tuck it in maybe like so. There we go. Tuck it down in there. You can see his chin should be kind of aligned with that gray piece. Then bring this section back up, tab it back in, and take, oh, well, stay, please. And then take this whole section and bring it down, and all these circular pieces should just all line up right in the torso area, kind of like that. Then you can straighten his head out, and that will hopefully stay in place. There's also a little groove back behind his head for that tab to go into, and hopefully everything will work better for you than it does for me, and that will be your Alpha Trion in robot mode. And like I kind of mentioned throughout the review, this guy has a little too much fiddle for me in his transformation. Don't enjoy the transformation one bit, but once you get into robot mode, he looks decently good. Not necessarily worth all that suffering, though. But coming in close on the head sculpt, you can see just done in a light gray there with blue eyes and purple. For the rest of the head, you can see some purpley pink and silvers and whatnot, some molded detail on the legs, purple down here with bits of gold there. Up the arm, more purple, that molded detailing we saw in alt mode. And on the back, you can once again, more of that molded detailing, some purple. He does have a butthole. That's very nice. Very nice. But you have these two pink ankle pieces that stick out here as heel spurs, so at least they made him stand properly. And, I mean, overall, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like there should be more of the molded paint around, and he definitely should have come with a cape because he had the cape the whole time in the movie. So I just don't know. I have mixed emotions. He looks good, but he could have been so much better. And now for some robot mode articulation. This is once again where this figure really struggles. He doesn't articulate well, but the head is on a ball joint, as you can see, so you can get a full 360 sideways, just due to the way he's built. That's a little weird, but he can look up that far, down that far, and you do get a little bit of the wiggle waggle, of course, due to the ball joint. The arms can do a full 360. If you get around that tab, they can move in and out that far. You do get a swivel above the elbow there. You do get an elbow bend of about 90 degrees. You get a swivel below the elbow due to transformation. Nothing at the wrist. You do get a waist swivel. You do get legs that kick forward that far and backward that far. Outward, get his arms out of the way. You can get a full split there. You do get a rotation above the knee along with a 90-degree bend at the knee. Due to transformation, the ankles can move up. The ankle spurs can move around if you need them, or heel spurs rather, can move around if you need them to. But this is a Voyager class in 2026 now, and he's $43? And there's no ankle pivot. Hasbro. Bruh. It's $43 and you can't... Okay. Yeah, y'all can see how I'm feeling about this figure, but really? $43. $43! And we can't get an ankle pivot. All right, I'm not going to rant for too long, but the articulation needed to be better. And if we bring in his accessory for a closer look, it's just that purple plastic, rubbery plastic that we discussed earlier with all the little pokes and whatnot. This weapon is pretty cool looking. I'll give the figure that. He's got a pretty cool weapon. Storage wise, you can plug it into his shoulder if you want to. That's an option. You can plug it into his booty if you want to. That is also an option that you totally have. He can have a tail, or you can bend it down, and that can happen. I'll let you interpret what that was. But you can plug it into his hand, and he can wield his mace, axe, whip, whatever this is. He can wield it and he can whip people with it. And now for some robot mode comparisons. First, here is Alpha Trion with Studio Series Sentinel Prime, B-127 or Bumblebee, Elita 1, Megatron, Optimus Prime, the recently released Age of the Primes Alpha Trion, who is far superior. If you can only get one, go with this one. And finally, with a CG image of how he appeared in Transformers 1, so you can see how accurate they got this figure to how he appeared in the film. And out of nothing but spite, enjoy this highlight reel of every figure I just compared him to that is cheaper than him having an ankle pivot. So this has been my review for the Transformers Studio Series Voyager Class Alpha Trion from Transformers 1. And while not terrible, this figure leaves so much to be desired. Where is his cape? Why does he only have a few spots with the molded paint? Why does he have no ankle pivots as a $43 Voyager class in 2026? These questions are all something you'll have to ask Hasbro. I couldn't tell you. I don't think it all went into the engineering because his transformation is very simple and there's nothing but fiddle going on in his torso. Usually when you ask Hasbro, why is this guy lacking something, they're like, oh, it went into the design. Here, he's very simple. I don't think much went into this design other than maybe this floppy region of chest. Other than that, definitely needed what I've already mentioned. The articulation, as I've picked on this whole video, is not to modern standard. It needs to be improved. As far as looks go, he needed the mold, he needs the cape. If you want him to look like he's from the movie, if you want to call yourself the Studio Series that brings out the perfected movie-looking figures, you can't do this. This does not... you can tell it's Alpha Trion from TF1, but it isn't Alpha Trion from TF1, if you get my point that I'm trying to get across. So, overall, he's not horrible. He could be so much worse. I'm probably blowing it out of proportion. He's probably better than what I'm making it seem. But to me, there's just so much that could have been improved on this guy. And I was so excited for him that I'm kind of let down by this figure. As a matter of fact, I'm very let down by this figure. So that being said, if I had to rate this Alpha Trion on a scale of 1 to 10, I was going to go 7.5, but just off of the disappointment factor, I'm going to go a 7 out of 10. It's a figure that I would recommend on sale. This guy is not worth $43. If you want to spend a Voyager class price point, and I don't think he's $43, they may have bumped it up, but when he originally released, he wasn't. But if you're going to spend that kind of money, the Age of the Primes Alpha Trion is the way to go. He's much better all around. I have a review for him. If you want to check that out, you totally can. I'll try to remember to link it at the end of this video on the end screen. But other than that, this guy leaves a lot to be desired. Definitely could have been so much better. But that's all I have to say about him. Don't forget, never sacrifice the things you love for the approval of others. I will see you soon with more Studio Series and Age of the Primes reviews. And until then, roll out. Peace.